Hey fellas, 265 Chevy here. It's one big ol' ass house. I'm in the attic. Alright, let me start off here. I built this 4x8 table. That's completed. Funny little story. I measured from corner to corner to corner to corner. It was the 16th off. I really thought, alright, now I'm starting to learn how to do this woodwork. You know, I'm all pumped up, you know, I'm all happy. I think my shit don't stink. And then I throw the 4x8 sheet of plywood on top of it, 1/2 inch. And I notice that I'm 3 inches off. Instead of cutting this 45, I left it at 48, 4 feet. And I didn't think about the 1/2 inch 2x4s on each side. So I added on a 3 inch strip. And then I blew my wad. You know, I said, oh, well, apparently I still don't know what the hell I'm doing. But anyway, so now we're up here today. Let me show you a little bit. I completed this wall over here. You know, I cut it all out. It's not perfect, but, you know, it does what it needs to do. Sealed it all up, got insulation behind it. So that's all done on this side. You can see I have a mess up here. I come at nighttime and work on this on rainy days and stuff, and I'm pretty much working on this. The video that I made earlier downstairs with the completed side, I told you that I'd be cutting plywood. I got to fill in that right there, and 2x8, 2 feet by 8 feet. Those will fit in those areas. So I got to figure out how I got a stairway that I got to work around. So I'm going to have to build something so I can put a ladder up here to work up there. So that's a problem. Got some electrical that I'm going to have to move and, you know, put it somewhere else. Take some of this old knob and tube out, rip that out, and run some new lines or whatever up there. So that's what's going on up here. I don't work on it every day. Kind of take my time. If I'm not too tired, then I'll come up on. When I carried this 4x8 sheet of plywood up here, it almost killed me. I had to carry it up 2 flights of stairs. Did it, you know, trying to do it by yourself. So that's why I decided to start cutting it. You know, 4x4 sheets or 2x8 sheets, and it's a lot easier to carry. It's a little bit more difficult to work with because, you know, I'm working with smaller pieces. I can't cover as much area, so I'm making multiple cuts instead of, you know, 1 or 2 cuts. So, you know, that's the problem that you have when you're working by yourself. You know, I keep all my scraps and I try to use them as whenever I can. I use them as fillers and stuff like that. But some of my subscribers wanted to know a little bit of history about the house. So since I'm up here, I'm going to give you that. My mom has been living in this house since 1959. So she used to live downstairs in a downstairs apartment. What I know as of this house, my mama bought the house in 64. So what we do know is the house was built in the 1800s. The house is about 200 years old. It's a 3-story house. It has 3 total apartments. What I'm pretty sure of, what I do know is this house at one time was all one house. And whoever originally built the house had to have some money way back in the day. So if you go about 4 or 5 blocks from here, you have a thing in New Orleans called the Garden District. And you have multi-million-dollar homes in that area. So 4 or 5 blocks back here is where the Irish and German immigrants came, and this is where they settled. They worked for those people. They worked for them in the fields. They worked for them in the cotton mills in the middle of the city and stuff like that. This city was a big time, like how can I say, industrial area. I mean, a lot of trade and everything came through the city. So that's where those people made this money. So whoever built this house, he was a little bit more fortunate than the people around him, but he wasn't as fortunate as the people that lived 5 blocks away. So, you know, he wasn't the owner, but he might have been a manager. So he might have made a pretty good dollar. So what we think is that, you know, the house was all at one house at one time, and then the people came and they subdivided into apartments, you know, later on. So we have 3 addresses. But actually the middle door is the main door, and you can see that when you walk in the different apartments how it's done. And when they subdivided, they didn't close the walls in. They, you know, they might have put plywood over a door and painted it or stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm working with, is that whoever did that a long time ago kind of, you know, half-assed it just to get the money what, you know, how they wanted it. They probably moved and then they kept the house as a rental, and then somebody else bought it. Mr. and Mrs. Nash had it when my mom had it. And that's a funny story too, because the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Nash, they died on Christmas Eve in a car wreck. My mama bought it from them. So the daughter came by one day when I was working out front, and the gentleman got out of the truck. I mean, I didn't know who it was, and he told me that was the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Nash, and she said she would, if I wouldn't mind showing the house where she used to live as a girl growing up. And this lady was like in the 70s, yeah, early 70s, I would say. So I said, sure. So she came upstairs and looked at it. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but, she says, my God, it hasn't really changed that much, So I really didn't know how to take that, because, yeah, definitely the house needs a lot of work. So she probably was right. Probably hasn't changed that way. My mom's motto was, if it wasn't broke, she didn't fix it. And she's really not too big into, as long as she's got a roof over her head and food in her mouth, she's happy. She grew up in the country where she was washed her clothes on a washboard in a bayou. So, for Christmas she got apples and oranges. She didn't get toys. So it's a totally different world that she grew up in compared to what we grow up in today. Kids are spoiled. They want their TVs. They want this, that, and everything. And everybody wants, the big shiny trucks and stuff like that. But back in the day, you were happy that you just had food in your mouth and you had a place to, a roof over your head. So I mean, that's her ideas of living. She's 86 years old, so she must have did something right. And for a woman to do this that many years ago by herself with no husband, support 3 kids, she's a hell of a woman. You got to do what you got to do. But so now I really don't know too much about the house. That's about as much as I really know. I thought about going to get somebody to look up the history. There's a fireman that can do that, but that stuff is expensive. It's about $2,000 for him to do all the research and make up a book. And I don't know if you ever saw that around here. Different houses that you go to, they might have made up a book or whatever, and it's sitting on their coffee table, and you can look through the history of their house and stuff like that. But I don't have $2,000 to give, and it's probably well worth it. I'm pretty sure that he would do a great job and everything. But I don't have $2,000 to give that guy just to look up the history. And me and my wife tried to go down to City Hall and look up different things one day when we were goofing off. And that's like almost beating your head against the wall. You got to tell one person, they tell you to go to this office, you go to this office, they tell you to go to that office. I mean, we walked around that place all day and didn't find shit. So, it is what it is. And so I guess I'm going to make my own history. But this is where I'm at today, up here. I hope, I wish I could have give you more. I know that the house is about 3,800 square feet, not counting the attic. It's about almost 3 stories high. It's the key lot on the block. It's the biggest house on the block. We're the only one that has a driveway on the block, and even though a lot of y'all wouldn't call that a driveway, because y'all ask me, how the hell do you drive a car down that damn thing? Believe me, you got to take your time. and you gotta look and make sure. And believe me, I've hit the fence. Believe me, I've hit the house. On probably some nights that I probably shouldn't have been driving. Stupid young kid. But I learned my lesson. I don't do that anymore, thank God. And but I had to pay the price. Had to pay to get it fixed. So fixed. Well, at that time I paid to get it fixed. I didn't even think that I even could do any of the stuff that I do. But I think that's a funny story about the table. Thought my shit didn't stink, fellas. I thought, man, I'm really starting to become a carpenter. Well, guess what? But the table rolls. It can roll around. And pretty much, I built the table so I can cut the wood up here. It's easier for me to cut it on top of a table than getting on the floor. But another reason why I built the table is when I have car parts and stuff like that I need to go through buckets of bolts, which I'm going to have to be doing with the Chevelle. I can spread things out. I can hook up all the wiring up here, which I've done before, and, test everything, make sure it all works, get the light bulbs to work, to turn on the lights and everything else like that outside the car. So when I throw it in the car, I know that it's all working properly. So, those are different reasons why I built it. And then, so I do have a master plan up here. I'm still going to, put plywood on top here, make more of a storage area. I'm trying to work to this area right here for this winter. I don't know if I'm going to get to that point, but if I do, great. If I don't, okay, that's fine too. And then there'll be next winter, and I'll just keep on going. This is a winter project, because during the summer, you don't want to be up here. It is hot. I would say roughly, over 100 degrees constantly. So it is hot. But doing this, it should help it out a little bit, but not too much. This all really needs to be spray foamed and stuff like that. I haven't got to that point to get somebody out here to give me a price of that, but eventually, hopefully one day that we can. I don't want to make this video too long, fellas, so I'm going to sign off on that one. I hope that answered some of y'all questions, a little bit of history of the house. You'll see a lot of the house, because this is gonna, I'm not gonna be able to finish this house. I work by myself pretty much. Most of the things I do is by myself, and so I don't really have the money to actually go hire a crew and stuff like that. That's what this house needs. This house really needs, the way I'm doing is ass backwards. It's stupid. You're spending more money but in the long run, that's how it will be. You're going to spend more money on what you're doing than if you would just gut this house completely and redo it and put it back together and then live in it. It's cheaper to do it that way, but I do not have the money to do it that way. So, I really can't afford any big, large loans, anything else like that. I just don't make enough money for that. This house is way too big for the amount of money that I would need to actually refurbish this house the way it really needs to be refurbished. So the best thing that I can do is just keep things in repair, try to keep the upkeep, try to upgrade things when I can, and until I get to a point where I get too old to do it, and then guess what? It's just going to have to be what it's going to be, and then die and let somebody else take care of it. So that's it, fellas. I appreciate y'all watching and all my subscribers. I know I'm not a great YouTuber or whatever. I don't make a lot of videos anymore or whatever. I'm just kind of in my own little realm and trying to get things done. And I apologize for that. I really want to, make more videos like on the car and stuff like that. But when I get to that point, then that'll happen, I guess. But I watch all of y'all videos. Y'all still inspire me to keep on getting up during the day when I'm off, when I don't want to, and come over here and do some work. That power hour, remember, fellas? Well, guess what? That power hour works. So, thanks very much. Y'all have a good day, and have a great week. Bye.